So here's the thing. Today I woke up and I thought to myself, what if we looked at some situations that are so messy, so complicated, that literally nobody can agree on who's right? Like, I want to read stories where even I can't figure out what I would do. So I'm reading from the Am I Overreacting subreddit, and let me tell you, these are going to mess with your head. These are stories where people are genuinely lost, where they don't know if they're being completely reasonable or totally out of line. Some of them are going to make you angry, some are going to make you uncomfortable, and some are just going to leave you sitting there going, I have no idea. But that's what makes them interesting, right? They force us to really think about boundaries and relationships and what we're willing to accept from people. And while I'm processing all this chaos, I'm just going to relax and work on my island, maybe move some furniture around, do some landscaping. Sometimes it's nice to just chill in your Animal Crossing world while diving into some absolutely wild relationship drama. Alright, let's jump into the first one. Am I overreacting by refusing to be a bridesmaid because my friend is making us pay for everything? I'm a 26-year-old female, and my friend is getting married next year. She asked me to be a bridesmaid 6 months ago, and I said yes. I was honoured. But since then, the costs have been adding up. First, she picked bridesmaid dresses that cost $400 each. Then she planned a bachelorette party in Miami that's going to cost each bridesmaid about $1,500 for flights, hotel, and activities. Then she said she wants us to chip in for her bridal shower, which is another $200 per person. Now she's saying she wants us to pay for professional hair and makeup on the wedding day, which is $300. So far, I'm looking at spending over $2,500 to be in her wedding. I don't have that kind of money. I'm still paying off student loans and I don't make a lot. When I told her I'm struggling with the costs, she said if I can't afford it, maybe I shouldn't be a bridesmaid. She said she's only getting married once and she wants her dream wedding. I told her I'm dropping out of the bridal party. She's furious. She's saying I'm abandoning her and being a terrible friend. She's telling people I'm backing out because I'm jealous of her wedding. Other bridesmaids are split. Some are also struggling with the cost but are sucking it up. Others think she's being unreasonable. Am I overreacting by dropping out? Okay, so I don't think this person is overreacting. $2,500 is an insane amount of money to spend on someone else's wedding. Like, that's a lot of money for most people. The comments are pretty supportive of the poster. People are sharing their own horror stories about expensive weddings they've been in. Someone said they spent $3,000 to be a bridesmaid and they're still paying off the credit card debt 2 years later. There's a whole discussion about how wedding culture has gotten out of control. The expectation that bridesmaids will spend thousands of dollars to be in a wedding is relatively new. It used to be that the bride covered most expenses for her bridal party. Someone made a good point that a real friend would want you at their wedding, not want you to go into debt for their wedding. If the bride knows her friend is struggling financially and still expects her to spend $2,500, that's not very caring. There's also people pointing out that the bride saying, if you can't afford it, don't be a bridesmaid, is incredibly dismissive and rude. That's basically saying, your friendship is only valuable if you have money. I think what bothers me is the bride making it about jealousy. The poster isn't jealous. She literally cannot afford it. Twisting that into some kind of character flaw is manipulative. But there are some comments saying the poster knew what she was signing up for, and she should have said something earlier. Like, once you agree to be a bridesmaid, you're committing. Backing out now leaves the bride in a tough spot. I don't know. I think the poster is completely justified. Being a bridesmaid shouldn't require you to go into debt. A real friend would understand that. Let me work on my island while I read the next story. Am I overreacting by being mad that my husband gave his ex-wife a key to our house? I'm a 29-year-old female and my husband is 35. He was married before and has been divorced for 5 years. He has 2 kids with his ex-wife and they co-parent. His ex-wife has always been pretty involved and they have a good relationship, which I've always been fine with. Last week, I was getting ready for work when his ex-wife just walked into our house. She didn't knock, she just used a key and walked in. I was standing in the kitchen in my pajamas and she scared me half to death. She said she was just dropping off some papers about the kids and didn't think anyone was home. I asked her how she got in and she showed me a key. I asked my husband about it later and he said he gave her a key a few months ago. He said sometimes she needs to drop things off when we're not home. I said I'm not comfortable with his ex-wife having a key to our house. I said she can text or call before coming over. He said I'm being unreasonable and insecure. He said she's the mother of his children and she needs access. I said access doesn't mean a key to walk in whenever she wants. We've been fighting about this for days. He's saying I'm trying to make co-parenting difficult. His ex-wife thinks I'm being controlling. Am I overreacting? Oh man, this is uncomfortable. I would not be okay with this either. Like, I don't care who you are, you don't just walk into someone's house unannounced. The comments are overwhelmingly on the poster's side. People are saying this is a massive boundary violation. Even if the ex-wife needs to drop things off, she should knock or text first. Someone pointed out that giving the ex a key without discussing it with his current wife is a huge problem. This is their shared home. He should have asked his wife how she felt about it before giving anyone a key. There's a whole discussion about co-parenting boundaries. A lot of people are saying that good co-parenting doesn't require giving your ex a key to your house. You can co-parent effectively while still maintaining appropriate boundaries. I think what bothers me most is the husband dismissing her feelings. She expressed discomfort, and he immediately called her insecure and unreasonable. That's not how you handle your spouse's concerns, and the ex-wife walking in while the poster was in her pajamas, that's violating her privacy in her own home. That's not okay. Some comments are asking why the ex needs to drop things off at the house at all. Can't they handle paperwork at pickups and drop-offs? Or through text or email? There seems to be no actual need for the ex to have access to the house. I don't think the poster is overreacting at all. This is a reasonable boundary. Your ex doesn't get a key to your new home, especially without your current spouse agreeing to it. The husband needs to get the key back and establish better boundaries with his ex. Let me keep working on this area while I read another story. Am I overreacting by refusing to let my sister borrow my wedding dress? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I got married 3 years ago. My wedding dress was really special to me. I saved for over a year to buy it. It was custom made, and it was expensive. After the wedding, I had it professionally cleaned and preserved. I'm keeping it because I might want my future daughter to wear it someday, or at least have it as a keepsake. My younger sister just got engaged. She's 25, she's on a tight budget, and she asked if she could borrow my wedding dress. I said no. She got really upset. She said it's just sitting in my closet, and I'm being selfish for not letting her use it. I tried to explain that it's really important to me, and I'm not comfortable lending it out. She said I'm being materialistic, and that family should help family. Now my mum is involved. She's saying I should let my sister borrow the dress. She says it would save my sister thousands of dollars. She's saying I'm being petty for keeping a dress I'll never wear again. My sister is now saying if I don't let her borrow it, it's going to ruin our relationship. She's saying she'll never forgive me for being this selfish. I feel guilty, but I also don't want to lend out my dress. Am I overreacting by saying no? I don't think the poster is overreacting. It's her dress. She doesn't have to lend it to anyone if she doesn't want to. The comments are really split on this one though. Some people are firmly on the poster's side. They're saying it's her property, it's special to her, and she doesn't owe it to anyone. It's not selfish to want to keep your own wedding dress. But others are saying it's just a dress that's sitting in a closet. Lending it to her sister would be a kind thing to do, and refusing seems petty. Someone made a good point that once you lend something like a wedding dress, you can't control what happens to it. What if the sister alters it? What if it gets damaged? What if it gets stained? Even with the best intentions, things can go wrong. There's a whole discussion about family obligations. Some people think family should help each other, and lending the dress is a reasonable ask. Others think family shouldn't feel entitled to your belongings just because you're related. I think the part that bothers me is the sister saying it will ruin their relationship if she doesn't lend the dress. That's emotional blackmail. You don't threaten to end a relationship over not getting to borrow something. Also, the sister has other options. She could buy a cheaper dress, she could rent a dress, she could buy a used dress. There are ways to have a wedding on a budget that don't involve guilting your sister into lending you her most prized possession. I'm on the poster's side. She's allowed to say no. It's her dress and it has sentimental value to her. The sister needs to respect that. Let me organise some things while I pull up the next story. Am I overreacting by cancelling plans with my friend because she always brings her kids? I'm a 31-year-old female and my friend is 33. We've been friends since college. She has 3 kids under the age of 7. I don't have kids. Ever since she had kids, it's been really hard to maintain our friendship. Every time I try to make plans with her, she brings the kids. I've suggested girls' nights, coffee dates, dinner, and she always shows up with all 3 kids. I love her kids, but I miss having adult conversations with my friend. Last week, I invited her to a wine tasting event. She asked if she could bring the kids. I said no, it's an adult event at a winery. She got upset and said she can't find a babysitter. I suggested we reschedule for a time when she could get childcare. She said I'm being unreasonable and that her kids are part of her life. If I want to see her, I have to accept her kids too. I told her I want to spend time with her as my friend, not as a babysitter. She said I'm being selfish and don't understand what it's like to be a parent. Now she's barely responding to my texts. Other friends are split. Some think I'm being unfair to a busy mum. Others think it's reasonable to want adult time. Am I overreacting? This is such a common friendship struggle. I can see both sides, but I'm leaning toward the poster being right. The comments are pretty split. A lot of parents are saying the poster doesn't understand how hard it is to find childcare. They're saying when you have kids, your kids become part of every plan. If the friend can't accept that, maybe they're just in different life stages. But non-parents and some parents are saying it's completely reasonable to want adult-only time with your friend. Kids change the dynamic of a hangout completely. You can't have the same conversations. Someone made a good point that the friend could be making more effort. Like if she really wanted adult time with her friend, she could find a babysitter for one evening, or she could plan something during a time when her partner could watch the kids. There's a whole discussion about how friendships change when one person has kids and the other doesn't. It's a common reason friendships fade. The interests and lifestyles become too different. I think what bothers me is the friend saying, if you want to see me, you have to accept my kids. That's kind of dismissive. The poster isn't saying she never wants to see the kids. She's saying she'd like some one-on-one adult time occasionally. There's also the practical issue of the wine tasting. Like that's literally not an appropriate place for 3 kids under 7. The friend asking to bring them seems like she's not even trying to make it work. I feel for both of them honestly. The mum is probably exhausted and can't imagine finding childcare. The poster just wants her friend back. But I think the poster is right, that occasionally the friend should make an effort to have kid-free time together. Otherwise, what kind of friendship is that? Let me work on this section while I read the next story. Am I overreacting by demanding my fiancé delete photos of his ex from social media before our wedding? I'm a 27-year-old female and my fiancé is 30. We're getting married in 3 months. My fiancé was in a relationship before me that lasted about 5 years. They broke up about a year before we started dating. His ex is still all over his social media. Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. There are photos of them on vacations, at events, being coupley. I've always been a little uncomfortable with it, but I didn't say anything. Now that we're getting married, I asked him to delete the photos of his ex. I said I don't want photos of him with another woman all over his social media when he's married to me. He said no. He said those photos are part of his past and his life story. He said deleting them would be like erasing 5 years of his life. I said I'm not asking him to erase his past. I'm asking him to take down couple photos of his ex, out of respect for me, his future wife. He said I'm being insecure and controlling. He said if I trust him, I shouldn't care about old photos. Now we're fighting about it. His friends think I'm being unreasonable. My friends think he should delete them. Am I overreacting? This is such an interesting one because I genuinely don't know what the right answer is. The comments are completely divided. Some people are firmly on the poster's side. They're saying once you're married to someone new, you should remove couple photos with your ex out of respect. It's not erasing your past, it's just being considerate of your current partner's feelings. But others are saying those photos are part of his history. He shouldn't have to delete years of his life from social media because his new partner is insecure. If she trusts him, why does she care about old photos? Someone made a good point that it depends on the type of photos. Like if it's just group photos where the ex happens to be in them, that's different than romantic couple photos. Are we talking about photos of them kissing and being intimate, or just photos of them existing together? There's a whole discussion about social media and relationships. Some people don't think exes belong on social media at all once you're in a new relationship. Others think that's archaic and controlling. I think I'm actually leaning toward the fiancé's side on this one. Those photos are from a significant relationship in his life. 5 years is a long time. Asking him to delete all evidence of that feels like asking him to pretend it didn't happen. But I also understand why the poster is uncomfortable. It's weird to know your husband has photos of himself with another woman all over his public social media. Maybe there's a compromise, like maybe he could make them private or archive them. Or maybe he could just remove the really coupley ones and keep the casual ones. I don't know. This is tough. Both people have valid feelings here. Let me keep working while I read another one. Am I overreacting by refusing to move for my partner's job? I'm a 32-year-old female, and my partner is 34. We've been together for 4 years. We're not married, but we live together and have talked about marriage. My partner just got offered an amazing job opportunity in another state. It's a huge promotion with a big salary increase. He's really excited about it. The problem is, I don't want to move. I have a good job here that I love. My entire family is here. All my friends are here. I've built a life in this city. He's asking me to move with him. I said I don't want to uproot my entire life for his job. He said he thought we were building a life together, and that means making sacrifices for each other. I said I'm willing to make some sacrifices, but moving across the country isn't one of them. Now he's saying, if I won't move with him, maybe we're not right for each other. He's saying I'm being selfish and not supportive of his career. I think he's being unfair to ask me to give up everything I have here. My friends are split. Some say relationships require sacrifice. Others say I shouldn't have to give up my career and life for someone I'm not even married to. Am I overreacting by refusing to move? Oh man, this is brutal. This is one of those situations where nobody wins. The comments are all over the place on this one. Some people think the poster is being unreasonable. They're saying if you love someone and you're serious about a future together, You should be willing to make sacrifices. 4 years is a long relationship, and refusing to move might mean ending it. But others are pointing out that she has a career and a life too. Why should she have to be the one to sacrifice? Why can't he turn down the job for the relationship? Someone asked a really good question. Why is it assumed that she should move for his career? Why isn't he considering staying for her career? This gets into gender roles and expectations. Women are often expected to follow their male partners for jobs. There's a whole discussion about what sacrifices are reasonable in a relationship. Some people think you should be willing to do anything for your partner. Others think you should never give up your career or life for someone else. I think what makes this particularly complicated is that they're not married. If they were married, maybe the expectation of sacrifice would be different. But they're just dating, even if it's serious. Someone pointed out that if she moves and then they break up, she's in a new city with no job, no friends, no family. That's a huge risk to take. But if she doesn't move and he goes alone, the relationship is probably over. There's no good answer here. Either she sacrifices her life, or he sacrifices his job, or they break up. I feel terrible for both of them, honestly. This is just a bad situation. Let me work on organizing while I read the next story. Am I overreacting by being upset that my husband told his family I had a miscarriage when I asked him not to? I'm a 30-year-old female, and my husband is 32. Last month, I had a miscarriage at 8 weeks. It was devastating. We'd only told a few close people I was pregnant, my parents, my best friend, and his parents. After the miscarriage, I asked my husband not to tell anyone else what happened. I said I needed time to process it privately. He agreed. Last week, we went to his family's house for dinner. His sister asked how I was feeling and if the pregnancy was going well. My husband said she had a miscarriage, just like that, in front of his entire extended family. I was mortified. Everyone got really quiet and then started offering condolences. I wanted to disappear. When we got home, I told my husband I was upset he told everyone when I specifically asked him not to. He said he didn't know what else to say when his sister asked. He said he wasn't going to lie. I said he could have said, "We're not talking about that right now," or changed the subject. He said I'm being unreasonable. He said it's his loss too, and he should be able to talk about it. Now I feel like I can't trust him to respect my privacy. Am I overreacting? No, this person is absolutely not overreacting. He violated her trust and her privacy about something incredibly personal and painful. The comments are very supportive of the poster. People are furious at the husband. Someone pointed out that he could have easily deflected the question or changed the subject. The fact that he just blurted it out in front of everyone shows he wasn't thinking about his wife's feelings at all. There's a discussion about whose grief takes priority. Some people are saying it's his loss too, and he has a right to talk about it. He's grieving, and maybe he needs support from his family, but others are pointing out that it was her body, her pregnancy, and her medical situation. She gets final say on who knows about it, and she made her wishes very clear. I think the "I wasn't going to lie" argument is weak. Not sharing information isn't lying. If someone asks you a question you don't want to answer, you can say you don't want to discuss it. That's not lying. Someone made a really good point, that now every time the poster sees his family, they're going to bring up the miscarriage. They're going to ask how she's doing, offer sympathy, maybe ask if they're going to try again. She's going to have to deal with constant reminders from people she didn't want to know. The fact that he said it's his loss too, and he should be able to talk about, feels dismissive. Yes, he's grieving, but he can talk to a therapist or his close friends. He doesn't need to announce it to his entire extended family against his wife's wishes. I think this is a serious breach of trust. The poster has every right to be upset. The husband needs to apologize and understand why what he did was wrong. Let me finish this area and read another story. Am I overreacting by refusing to attend my nephew's birthday party because it's at a trampoline park? I'm a 35-year-old female. My brother has a son who's turning 7. He's having a birthday party at a trampoline park. When my brother invited me, I said I couldn't come. He asked why, and I said I don't feel comfortable at trampoline parks. The truth is, I'm really overweight. I'm about 280 pounds. I know if I go to this party, there's going to be an expectation that adults will jump on the trampolines with the kids. I physically can't do that. Most trampoline parks have weight limits and I exceed them. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm humiliated. My brother said, I don't have to jump, I can just watch. But I know how these things go. Kids will ask me to jump with them. Other adults will be jumping. I'll be the only one sitting on the sidelines. I told my brother I'd take my nephew out for a special birthday celebration, just the two of us instead. My brother is hurt. He's saying I'm missing his son's party over something trivial. My sister-in-law called me and said I'm being selfish. She said it's not about me, it's about my nephew. Now my nephew knows I'm not coming and he's upset. My parents are saying I should just go and deal with the discomfort for a few hours. Am I overreacting? Should I just go? Oh man, this one breaks my heart. I feel so bad for the poster. This is such an uncomfortable situation. The comments are really compassionate toward the poster. People are pointing out that she's trying to protect herself from a humiliating situation. That's not selfish, that's self-preservation. Someone said they've been in a similar situation where they were overweight at a physical activity event and it was mortifying. Kids don't understand and ask questions, other adults notice. It's uncomfortable for everyone. There's a lot of anger toward the brother and sister-in-law for not being more understanding. They're making this about them and the nephew instead of having empathy for the poster's situation. But there are some comments saying she should go anyway. They're pointing out that she's choosing to miss her nephew's party, which he'll remember. He's going to remember that his aunt didn't come to his birthday. I think what's missing here is the brother being more considerate when planning the party. If you have family members who can't participate in physical activities, maybe don't plan an entire party around physical activity, or at least have some alternative activities. Someone suggested that the poster could go for cake time at the end of the party. That way she's there for the important part, but doesn't have to be there for 2 hours of jumping. That seems like a good compromise. I don't think the poster is overreacting. She's trying to avoid a situation where she'll be uncomfortable and possibly humiliated. But I also think there might be a way to still show up for her nephew without putting herself in a terrible position. This is just sad all around. Let me keep working while I read another one. Am I overreacting by being mad that my boyfriend proposed at my sister's wedding? I'm a 28-year-old female, and my boyfriend is 30. My older sister got married 2 weeks ago. It was a beautiful wedding. At the reception, during the dancing, my boyfriend got down on one knee and proposed to me, in front of everyone, at my sister's wedding. I was shocked. I said yes because everyone was watching, and I didn't want to embarrass him, but I was furious. After the wedding, I told him I was upset. I said, "You don't propose at someone else's wedding. It's their day, not ours." He said he thought it was romantic. He said everyone was already dressed up and celebrating love, so it seemed like the perfect moment. I said it was disrespectful to my sister. He stole her thunder on her wedding day. Now everyone is talking about our engagement instead of her wedding. My sister says she doesn't mind. She said she's happy for me, but I think she's just being nice. My mum is upset with me for not being more excited. She says I should be happy, not angry. My boyfriend doesn't understand why I'm mad. He thinks I'm overreacting. Am I overreacting? Oh no, 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 no. This is one of the worst things you can do. Proposing at someone else's wedding is like the #1 rule of what not to do. The comments are going off. People are furious at the boyfriend. This is such a well-known faux pas. How did he not know this? Someone said their friend did this at their wedding, and they haven't spoken to that friend in 3 years. It's that serious. People plan weddings for months or years and spend thousands of dollars to have one day that's about them. And then someone proposes and steals all the attention. There's a whole thread of people saying the poster should return the ring and break up with him. If he's this clueless and selfish, what else is he going to do? But there are a few comments defending the boyfriend. They're saying the sister said she doesn't mind. If the bride is okay with it, what's the problem? I think the problem is that the bride probably feels like she has to say she's okay with it. What else can she say? I'm mad at you for getting engaged. That makes her look petty. She's in an impossible position. The boyfriend put everyone in an awkward situation. I also think it's telling that the poster's immediate reaction was anger, not joy. She should have been thrilled to get engaged. Instead, she was mortified. That shows how inappropriate the timing was. Someone made a good point that public proposals are already risky because they put pressure on the person to say yes, but a public proposal at someone else's wedding? That's next level pressure. She literally couldn't say no without ruining her sister's wedding. The boyfriend needs to apologize to both the poster and her sister, and maybe they should have a private re-proposal where it's actually about them, not at someone else's event. The poster is absolutely not overreacting. Let me work on some things and read another story. Am I overreacting by refusing to eat dinner with my in-laws because they won't accommodate my dietary restrictions? I'm a 29-year-old female. I have celiac disease, which means I can't eat gluten. It's not a choice or a preference, it's a medical condition. If I eat gluten, I get really sick. My in-laws have family dinners every Sunday. I've been going for 3 years since I married my husband. Every single week, they make food I can't eat. Pasta, bread, regular flour and everything. The first few times I brought my own food, but they got offended. They said I was being rude by not eating the food they made. So I explained about celiac disease and asked if they could make at least one dish that's gluten-free. They said it's too complicated and expensive. They said I should just eat the vegetables and skip the rest. But the vegetables are usually cooked in the same pans as the gluten items, so they're contaminated. I've gotten sick multiple times from cross-contamination at their dinners. Last week, I told my husband I'm not going to Sunday dinners anymore. If his family can't make even one safe dish for me after 3 years, I'm done. My husband thinks I'm overreacting. He says his parents are old-fashioned and don't really understand dietary restrictions. He says I should just bring my own food and ignore their comments. His family thinks I'm being dramatic and high maintenance. Am I overreacting? No, this person is absolutely not overreacting. Celiac disease is serious. This isn't about being picky. This is about her health. The comments are completely on the poster's side. People are furious at the in-laws. 3 years, and they haven't made a single accommodation. That's deliberate at that point. Someone who actually has celiac said they've been in similar situations, and it's incredibly hurtful. When family won't accommodate a medical condition, it feels like they don't care about you. There's a whole discussion about whether the in-laws actually understand what celiac disease is. Some people think they genuinely don't understand how serious it is. Others think they understand and just don't care. I think the fact that they've made her sick multiple times is what really bothers me. After the first time she got sick from their food, they should have been more careful, but they weren't. That shows they're not taking it seriously. Someone made a good point that gluten-free accommodations really aren't that hard. Make a salad with separate dressing. Make rice instead of pasta for one dish. Use separate pans. These are simple things that would make the meals safe for her. The fact that they won't do even that shows they don't want to accommodate her, and the husband saying she should just bring her own food and ignore the comments. He should be standing up for his wife. His family is making his wife sick, and he's saying she should just deal with it. That's not okay. I think the poster is right to stop going. Why would you repeatedly put yourself in a situation where you get sick and feel unwelcome? The in-laws can either make accommodations or they can have dinners without her. That's their choice. Let me finish up and read 1 or 2 more stories. Am I overreacting by being upset that my husband bought a car without telling me? I'm a 33-year-old female and my husband is 35. We've been married for 7 years. We've always made big financial decisions together, or at least I thought we did. Last Saturday, my husband went out to run errands. He came home driving a brand new truck, a $60,000 truck. I asked what was going on, and he said he bought it, just like that. No discussion, no heads up, nothing. I was in shock. I asked why he didn't talk to me first, and he said he didn't think he needed to. He said he makes good money, and he wanted a new truck, so he bought one. I said that's not how marriage works. We make big purchases together. He said I'm not his mother, and he doesn't need my permission to buy things. I tried to explain that it's not about permission. It's about respect and partnership. A $60,000 purchase affects both of us. It affects our budget, our savings, our financial goals. He said I'm overreacting and trying to control him. Now we're barely speaking. His friends think I'm being too controlling. My friends think he was completely out of line. Am I overreacting? Absolutely not. This person is not overreacting even a little bit. $60,000 is a huge purchase to make without discussing it with your spouse. The comments are overwhelmingly on the poster's side. People are pointing out that this isn't about permission or control. It's about partnership and respect. When you're married, big financial decisions should be joint decisions. Someone said their spouse did something similar and it ended in divorce. Not because of the purchase itself, but because of the fundamental disrespect it showed. There's a whole discussion about financial boundaries in marriage. Some people keep completely separate finances and make independent decisions. Others pool everything and make all decisions together. But whatever system you have should be agreed upon by both people. The husband saying he doesn't need permission because he makes good money is concerning. That suggests he sees his income as his money, not their money. In a marriage, generally all income is marital money, regardless of who earned it. I think the "you're not my mother" comment is really telling. He's framing her concern as controlling rather than recognizing it as a legitimate partnership concern. That's dismissive and immature. Someone asked if they can even afford a $60,000 truck. Like, even if he makes good money, was this in the budget? Are they now going to struggle with the payment? Did this derail their savings goals? These are all questions that should have been discussed before making the purchase. I think the poster has every right to be upset. This was a unilateral decision that affects both of them. That's not how a partnership works. The husband needs to understand that just because he can afford something doesn't mean he should buy it without talking to his wife. Let me read one more story and then wrap this up. Am I overreacting by threatening to divorce my wife because she wants another baby? I'm a 38-year-old male and my wife is 36. We have 2 kids, ages 8 and 6. When we had our second child, we agreed we were done having kids. I got a vasectomy 5 years ago. We were both on the same page. Now, out of nowhere, my wife says she wants another baby. She's been bringing it up constantly for the past few months. At first, I thought she was joking, but she's serious. She said she's been thinking about it, and she really wants one more child. I reminded her that we agreed we were done. I reminded her that I got a vasectomy specifically because we agreed we didn't want more kids. She said people change their minds. She said she knows I got a vasectomy, but I could get it reversed. I said absolutely not. I don't want another baby. I'm happy with our family as it is. She's been crying and saying I'm being selfish. She's saying if I really loved her, I'd give her this. Last week, she said if I won't even consider it, she doesn't know if she can stay married to me. Now I'm saying the same thing. If she can't accept that we're not having more kids, maybe we shouldn't be married. My friends are split. Some think I'm being too rigid. Others think she's being unfair by changing the agreement. Am I overreacting by threatening divorce? Oh man, this is such a difficult situation. This is one of those fundamental incompatibility issues that's really hard to resolve. The comments are all over the place on this one. Some people are firmly on the husband's side. They're saying they had an agreement. He got a permanent medical procedure based on that agreement. She can't just change her mind and expect him to go along with it. But others are saying people do change their minds about things, even big things like having kids. She's allowed to change her mind. She can't force him, but she can express what she wants. Someone made a good point that this is the kind of disagreement that might actually be divorce-worthy. If one person wants another kid and the other doesn't, there's no compromise. You can't have half a baby. One person is going to end up resentful. There's a whole discussion about fairness. Some people think it's unfair of the wife to bring this up after he got a vasectomy. Others think it's unfair of him to refuse to even consider it when she's telling him this is important to her. I honestly don't know who's right here. I think they're both in an impossible situation. He made a permanent decision based on what they both agreed to. She's changed her mind about something major. Neither of them is wrong, but they're now incompatible. Someone suggested couples therapy, which seems like a good idea. Maybe they need help working through this with a professional. But I think there's a real possibility this ends in divorce. If she truly can't be happy without another child, and he truly doesn't want another child, they might just be at an impasse. This is heartbreaking for both of them. Nobody's overreacting, they're both just expressing what they need. Unfortunately, what they need is contradictory. Alright, that's all the Am I Overreacting stories I have for you today. These were intense, right? So many impossible situations where there's no clear right answer. So many cases where both people have legitimate points but they're just incompatible. I think what strikes me about today's stories is how many of them involve people changing agreements or expectations. The wife who suddenly wants another baby when they agreed they were done. The husband who bought a car when they always made financial decisions together. The friend who changed the dynamic of their friendship when she had kids. A lot of conflict comes from expectations shifting without both people being on board, and that's hard because people do change. Life changes us. Experiences change us. We're allowed to change our minds about things. But when you're in a relationship with someone, whether it's romantic or friendship or family, changing your mind about major things affects the other person too. You can't just unilaterally change the terms of a relationship and expect the other person to go along with it. That's not fair. But it's also not fair to expect people to never change or grow. So where's the balance? I think it's in communication and respect. If you're changing your mind about something major, you need to talk about it openly and honestly. You need to acknowledge that this affects the other person, and you need to be willing to hear that they might not be able to accommodate your change. And sometimes that means the relationship ends, and that's sad, but it might be necessary. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, especially when people grow in different directions. Another thing I noticed is how many of these stories involve people dismissing their partner's feelings. The husband saying his wife is overreacting about the truck. The boyfriend saying his girlfriend is being controlling about the car. The friend saying the poster is being selfish about her kids. When someone expresses hurt or discomfort, the response shouldn't be, "You're overreacting." The response should be, "I hear you, and I care that you're upset. Let's talk about this." Even if you don't agree with their perspective, you should still care about their feelings. That's what being in a relationship means. And finally, I want to say that some of these situations just suck. There's no good answer. The person who doesn't want to go to the trampoline park? That sucks. The couple where one wants another baby and one doesn't? That sucks. The person who has to choose between moving for their partner's job or ending the relationship? That sucks. Life puts us in impossible positions sometimes, and all we can do is make the best choice we can with the information we have and hope it works out. If you related to any of these stories, I hope you found some clarity in the comments and discussion. These situations are hard. There often isn't a right answer, but talking through them and hearing different perspectives can help us understand our own feelings better. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and subscribe, and maybe take some time to think about your own relationships and whether you're communicating openly about changes and expectations. Are you dismissing people's feelings or taking them seriously? Are you expecting people to accommodate changes they never agreed to? These are important things to consider. Alright, I'm going to keep working on my island. Thanks for hanging out with me today and diving into all this complicated relationship stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, communicate honestly, and remember that sometimes there just isn't a perfect answer. That's okay. Do the best you can. See you next time.